Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here and welcome back to Board Game Blender. Today we are talking about games that are inspired by or based on literature. And just like our recent episode which talked about games that were inspired by or based on video games or felt like video games, I think these two forms of entertainment have a lot of interesting crossover and can be used to have someone who appreciates one become more interested in the other. And in this case, I think there's a lot of folks out there who would really enjoy board gaming who perhaps haven't tried it yet or are only familiar with the classics in board gaming and have relegated that to being, you know, kids' playthings, which would now, if introduced to these kinds of games, really enjoy and appreciate them. You know, there's a lot of interesting games out there that are based on literature or that have sort of literary roots, you know, and there's something very charming about not just inhabiting a world or, you know, viewing one through the window of a book, but being able to participate in one, being able to manipulate part of that story that is happening. And so I think if you have a friend that is very much into books, they love reading, they love literature, but they haven't tried board gaming yet, then maybe you'll find something in here that would be a great first step for them to take a look at what's out there now and perhaps start appreciating yet another form of entertainment for themselves. So that's it for the setup of the episode. I hope, like I said, that you enjoy enjoy the episode, enjoy maybe finding a new discovery for yourself or a loved one, and let's kick it off right away.
Chapter 1, An Unexpected Party. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, by J.R.R. Tolkien, was published in 1937, way back in the Wayback Times. It's been translated in over 50 languages, including Latin. That took it a step too far, in my opinion. Howdy folks, welcome to the Family Showdown. Today we're featuring a book that's all about the Hobbit, specifically the epic last battle of the Hobbit, the Battle of Five Armies.
Battle of the Five Armies is a area control war game scenario that's set up in the fantasy realm of Tolkien. So you have two players, one playing the Shadow Army, which you have your orcs and your goblins and wargs, all these wonderful things, bats. And then you have the free peoples. You've got the elves, dwarves, and humans, and they are trying to protect their land and fend off the enemy. And I really personally like the combat system in this one because unlike War of the Ring, I feel like War of the Ring, you're picking off your armies right away, but at this one, it lets you accumulate the damage, and then once you reach a certain level, that's when you start to actually apply the damage. I found that interesting.
And we recently replayed this game just for this episode of Blender, and we took on each other in an epic battle. We had some classic encounters during it. Similar to War of the Ring, it's a distilled version of War of the Ring. It kind of focuses in on more on combat and less on more long-term strategy and things like that. It's almost like a race in this game, where one person's trying to, as the shadow players, to get a certain number of victory points, and the other player is just trying to survive.
Survive and get their points, yes.
Just like the War of the Ring, it has you kind of write your own story. For example, one of the big encounters in this game, the Shadow, which I was playing, took over Dale, and Bilbo came streaming out of the front gate and retook Dale from the Shadow people, and then promptly disappeared and never was seen from again.
What can you do? You have a magic ring that makes you invisible. Now, this board game focuses only on the climax and the epic battle that's at the end of The Hobbit. It doesn't really encompass all of the different things that go on in the book. War of the Ring does more of that, and it includes a lot of the politics and things involved. Well, this one focuses mostly on battle tactics and that big finale at the end.
Yeah, I prefer War of the Ring over this. I do enjoy this game, but this game, it says it only takes 60 minutes, but I found that that's not remotely true. And if I'm going to put a couple hours into this game, I would prefer to probably put it into War of the Ring, because I personally enjoy more of the story and the more encounters and strategy, and this one is just...
Yeah, but at this on the other end of that too, if you don't want to get into the convoluted rules with all the different politics and things like that, and whoever's playing the good guys want to make it a simpler game, this is the game you should pick.
Yeah, you can literally in this game have a combat the first turn of the game potentially. So it jumps you right into it. But it's still a pretty fairly, unless you get one side gets real lucky or get some good draws or the combats happen. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a while. It's not. I don't know where they get the 60 minutes.
I guess if you play it really frequently and you know it really well, you could really fly through your
potentially. I mean, that's probably, it says 60 plus, so I guess it could be plus.
So, if you would like to play a really engaging game based on a really engaging book, you should check out Battle of the Five Armies. And Dis gratias habeo bilbo redensinquit, et olim tabaki eitra didit.
Cool catchphrase?
And in today's book club, we're talking about fairy tales. Anna, what did you bring?
My favorite fairy tale. I brought the Three Little Pigs. Look!
Anna, we're not playing games again.
Nah. Nora, your birthday's coming up. What do you want?
Let me think. Oh, I know! I would like a book.
I know something that would be perfect.
Yay!
Happy birthday, Nora. Here's your present.
I love fairy tales.
Anna, not again.
So where are the homemade cookies? Nora, there are no cookies.
Anna, what's that? It's a fairy tale book, just like you guys wanted. No, Anna, it's a board game.
Again, we're leaving.
But wait, guys, it's a board game about creating your own fairy tale together.
You have 1 minute.
In Once Upon a Time, a storytelling card game, everyone is going to get a set of these storytelling cards and one end game card that they want the story to end like. Everyone has a different one, so everyone is trying to get the story that you are telling with each other to end in their way, because then they win the game. But before you can play your end game card, you have to get rid of all your story cards. And you only can play a story card when you are telling the story, and you have to incorporate everything that is on one of your cards in a significant way. People can interrupt the story or take over so that they can play their own cards. And in this way, everyone is creating a lovely story together.
Okay, Anna, that was actually pretty fun.
Yay! But next time, no board games.
And I want cookies.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris, and this is the Teacher's Lounge. Now if you're like me, you're 6 foot tall, and you're named Chris. But also if you're like me, you probably teach board games very frequently. So the Teacher's Lounge is the place where I teach some of the recommendations for teaching games that I've picked up over the years. Today's game, all about literature, is called 5 Tribes by Bruno Cathala. This takes place, very loosely themed, in the 1001 Arabian Nights. And what is fun about this game is that it is, well, firstly, very beautiful, has tons of awesome components. It has lots of mechanisms going on. It has set collection with these cards, it has special powers with these genies, it has an auction for turn order, but most importantly, what the game really shines in is this kind of Mancala-ish movement. So for example, if I were to grab these meeples here, I'm going to remove all of the meeples from this starting tile, whichever one I choose, and I'll place one at a time, moving along here until I land in a space. When I land in this space, I have to match meeple colors, but then I will grab all of them, and whatever color that I match with
will grant me some sort of power, and then the tile that I landed on will also grant me a bit of a power. Well, how do you keep all of these straight? Because there's 5 colors of meeples, the 5 tribes, but there's also a ton of variety of these tiles. There's a variety of what the market cards are and what the genies are. My teaching recommendation for this game is that you teach right from the player aid. Days of Wonder tends to do pretty good with including player aids in the more complicated games, and this is no exception. So you can see the player aid here does a fantastic job of outlining what an entire turn order is going to be like, what the different tribes' abilities are, the different tiles' abilities, and all the different ways that points are going to be scored, and what triggers the end of the game. That's fantastic for players. But what about this gigantic stack of all of the different genies and their unique powers? Well, you flip it over, and every single one of them is lined up and explained exactly how it's going to work in alphabetical order. I really like how much information is laid out in a very straightforward way on this player aid, so I will use it as a teaching aid because it's just going to help people find answers to their own questions. It'll help people internalize some of those rules, like the order of operations, the order of everything happens on a turn, and I think that that is such a critical point that'll help people internalize the game quicker. And I love that it can help people find answers to their own questions instead of feeling like they're asking, hey, what does this thing do? And feel like they're giving away their strategy when they're playing for the first time. I know some people have said they don't like handing out player aids in front of people because they're going to search ahead or look ahead or something. As long as you're doing an okay job explaining, I think that this is going to help people have something that they can focus in on. And that's how I like to learn, so that's how I like to teach. Hope that this helps. There's tons of games with good player aids out there. 5 Tribes just happens to have an incredibly robust one. So, hope this helps. If you have any other teaching recommendations, ideas, tips, anything you'd like to share, comment below and I'll respond under the name Meeple Overboard. Thank you so much for watching.
For today's game Under the Radar, I'm taking a look at campy creatures here, which would be a great fit for those of you that love classic monster movies. Think The Blob, vampires, right? Dracula, mummies, that sort of thing. This game's going to have all of that and more. Now, admittedly, the gameplay here is not particularly innovative, but I think the charm in the game, the amount of artwork, and the stunning artwork it is going to transcend many of those issues. And as a first step into gaming, into card gaming, this is a great pick, I think. In it, the players are going to each have a set of cards with a matching back, but everyone has a similar set. So everyone has the same characters in their player color. And in there you are going to find all sorts of literary characters or movie monster type characters. So you have the Invisible Man here, and you got the Swamp Creature, the Mummy, Kaiju, the Blob, a vampire, a beast that looks very much like King Kong, though it doesn't say that, werewolf, and then an alien, an invader. And you are going to be flipping over some mortals, some juicy mortals that you are trying to capture with your beasties. You'll flip over a few of these. So for example, while we have here the Cosmonaut is worth 4 victory points to you, you have the Hunter who can fight back, and so they're worth -3. Everyone picks a character from their hand, you simultaneously reveal them, and then powers on them will trigger, and then you go through the number from the strongest to the weakest monsters, gathering one of the mortal cards and scoring that when the round is over. That's basically it. The final thing I'll say is that, as I mentioned at the beginning, the artwork in this game, the vibe is really immersive and fantastic. And for those out there that enjoy this kind of literature, this kind of setting, this kind of charm, you know, they're really gonna get it from this game. And the game manages to really put you in that world. And even the play has very much this one-upmanship kind of feeling, with all these monsters kind of having a blockbuster coming together to wreak havoc on the population. So I like it very much, and of course it does come with the Clash-O-Meter, which not only is it cool and look great, it's a really neat tie-breaking mechanism. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a nice game to bring out as a way to demonstrate a modern game with some nice theming, And if you're not worried too much about being, strategic, if you just want to have some fun and play some cards simultaneously, kind of see what happens. So that's it for my under the radar pick here. Campy Creatures. This is a neat one. This would make a great gift as well, so check it out. And that's it for me. I'll see you next time. Under the radar.
Hey everybody, Andrew and Jess from Gamosity here, and today, in looking at games that are based on literature, we're going to be checking out Les Miserables, The Eve of Rebellion. This is really sort of an interesting challenge because for those of you who are familiar with Les Mis, it's a classic, and it's this big sweeping story that kind of spans decades and has this sort of cast of thousands feel. And sort of a challenge to translate all of that into a card game with, barely more than 40 cards. So how do you think they did it?
Well, they didn't really. I mean, they didn't try.
Right.
Yeah. Instead, they took the characters and boiled them down to their essential elements.
Not literally.
No. But they took, their affiliations, their social standing, and the people they care about, and made that their essence.
Yeah, they took the sort of, like you say, the characters, some of the more prominent characters, and distilled them down to these like bullet points. And that is how they kind of interact with each other, and how the scoring works, which we should look at in a second. But the other thing about it that I think is pretty amazing is that they managed to fit a lot of game into a really small, very attractive, and well-made box. And you think I'm kidding about that, but it's a really nice box.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's take a look at how it plays. The premise of Les Mis is pretty simple. Essentially, each player is trying to get as many points as they can, and they're going to be doing that by drawing character cards into their tableau. And each card has a few different pieces of information. You've got sort of faction symbols, a character power, and a different scoring mechanism. And each character can be used in a bunch of different ways. And you're essentially going to be drawing those characters into your tableau, and then you're going to be using their powers to manipulate cards, and then you'll be using their scoring mechanisms to try and get points. And characters tend to want to either save or kill either certain characters or certain number of factions, and if you meet those requirements, you score points for that character. And what's interesting is that you then save or kill the character that you're scoring, adding them either to the saved pile or face down into the killed pile, which can only get checked when a scoring mechanism goes off that does check that pile. And so there's a little bit of a memory element in trying to remember who has been killed and how many symbols may have been spent that way. But that's really all there is to it. You play until this deck is exhausted, and at the end, you see how many points you've got. And that's Les Miserables, Eve of Rebellion. So what do you think?
I like it. It's kind of interesting for me because I don't really know Les Mis all that well. I've never... Yes, I know. I've never read the book. I've never seen the play. But yet, without that background, I still enjoy the game.
Which is, I think, a really good recommendation.
Yeah.
Because they're not just capitalizing on that nostalgia factor or the people who are huge fans of this very famous story. Instead, they've put together, like, a game here.
Yeah, it's got a lot of strategy, and, it's just fun to play.
Yeah. One of the things I'm a sucker for is cards that can be used a bunch of different ways. And so the way these characters are designed, where you have the power, you've got the affiliations, you've got the different scoring mechanisms and the interplay between them, lends for some moments of real strategy while never really bogging down the game too much.
It's also really cool that you get invested in everyone else's turn.
Yeah, and not just everyone's like turn-by-turn action, but like what cards they have.
Yes.
You know, because you might have a character that cares about another character getting saved or killed, and so you suddenly like hook into what other players are doing, and that makes it there's no real take that element. Some of the powers are a little aggro, but...
Look, I'm really sorry about killing Valjean.
Valjean, please. Whatever. No, I couldn't say it well anyway. But yeah, no, I think this is a really fun, tight little game that tackles this big theme in a really interesting way. I think it's worth checking out.
So yeah, that's Les Miserables, Eve of Rebellion. It's got a great box, beautiful art, and it's a ton of fun. We totally recommend you checking it out. We'll see you next game.
Hi, I'm Daniele and this is Play Cool. Today we are talking about Paperback. So Paperback is a design by Tim Fowers. A great, I would call him indie designer if it weren't for the fact that he's designed already many wonderful board games. So, however, he's a small publisher, right? His publishing company is called Fowers Games. He sells his games on his own website mostly, and this Paperback is a real gem. The game comes with different sets of letters that compose on one side the starting decks, composed of 10 cards for each player. It's a deck builder at heart. So of these 10 cards, you would draw them 5 every turn and use all your cards as best as you can. The ones that you don't use, you would discard, as in any other basic deck builder a la Dominion. And with letters that you use, you gain some coins that you can use to buy other cards, and these cards will give you other letters or combinations of letters. You would have also to reach a certain number of points to win the game, right? And that's why you would use your coins instead to buy special books, letters that can be used as any letter, but that give you a lot of points then at the end of the game. So this will be then the final goal, reach a certain number of points to win the game. First Pro, I love the simplicity of the game that can be played also as a foreigner. I can even reason and learn new words, try to search for new words, and this is something that I like very much about this game. The other pro that I find is I always like when there is a variant for cooperative game, and this offers that. I like it very much. There is a drafting like in Seven Wonders. The two cons, it is a small publisher, as I said, so if I want a version in Italian, for example, or in German or any other language, then I'll probably have to customize my version and try to put different weights on the letter that are present, or even print out more of one letter instead of the other, and combinations of the letters would be also different. For example, the ER combination is very important in English, but wouldn't make much sense in Italian. Within the game itself, I don't like that the start of the game feels very samey. End up often writing down the same words with initial letters. So the first two turns are just a warm-up that I feel it's a bit slow and samey every time. That said, it's just the beginning, and then you can customize your strategy also depending obviously on what comes up, so it's not a big deal. I like this game very much. This game is really something I like. This is fun, easy to play, and is a challenge for those who are not the best Scrabble players, and I would say a more fun alternative for everyone who loves those kind of games and who appreciate deck builders, simple deck builders like this one is. Enjoy!
I wanted to talk about Deadline today for my quirky game of the episode. This is the setting here is a hard-boiled whodunit kind of setting, you know, a pulp fiction 1930s New York sort of setting, right? I think, you know, black and white, smoky office, you know, mysterious phone call, that sort of thing, and then you're out, you know, on the beat trying to figure out the whodunit. And in it, the players are going to be working together to solve a crime, solve that whodunit. Here's what I think is so interesting and quirky about this game. The game takes two things that I've seen before several times in separate kinds of games and brings them together in a way that really makes sense and is seamless and just works. This is one of my recent favorites. The one part of that is the card play. The game is a cooperative card-driven game in which all the players are going to be playing cards from their hand to the center, combining these cards and the symbols across the bottom in order to build an array of those symbols and break into a location. If you've got the matching symbols to break in, you break in there. Once you do break into a location is where that second style of game kicks in. And this style of game is those where you open up a map, you grab a book, and everyone sits around and reads what's going on and tries to figure out a case. Those games are usually very thematic, but they're kind of shapeless. You know, they have no solid structure. You're just sort of engaged in an activity together, and one of the most famous ones being the Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. In this one, when you break into a location, then you're going to grab a card and read wherever you are. So you might have visited the local bar because you know that the bartender saw something. And so when you get the right, you know, cards to break into that location and interrogate this person, then you're going to grab that card from the center of the table and read what's going on. And everyone knows what's happening, and you start putting together this case. You start, you know, putting your clues all together to figure out what happened. And you get, in the game, 12 of these cases. They come like that, so each one is individually shrink wrapped. You're going to open one up, put out the cards it tells you to put out, you read a little introductory scenario as to what's going on, and then you start playing. And the game kind of switches back and forth between playing these cards for locations. You pick where you're going to try to get into, and then you play these cards, to reading and putting together the puzzle. And I love that they dovetail into each other so nicely. I love these story kind of, you know, rich discovery games, but they are, as I said, oftentimes shapeless, and they don't even feel like games. And I love cooperative card games, but usually the story is not really there. You are solving a puzzle. Well, in this game, you get a little bit of both. Yes, you have the puzzles there. Yes, you have to figure out before you pick a location to go into, do we all together have the necessary components in our hands to put this together? Or are we going to be wasting our round here? Definitely a cool, quirky, original combination of different ideas that goes off without a hitch. So set yourself up with a copy of Deadline, gather all of your sleuth friends, and I think you're going to have a great time. That's it for me. I'll see you later.
Hey Slaven. Are we filming First Martians today? I'm ready. Almost ready. Okay? Got it. Pick you up in 10. Right, see ya. Bye. Hello everybody and welcome to the life of a board gamer. My name is Daniel and today we are going to talk about First Martians, the adventures on the Red Planet. And first of all, we are going to start with rulebooks. We have like 2 forests had to die for these rulebooks. There's like a bunch of different rulebooks, single player, multiplayer, solo play, do not open or browse. So there's a bunch of rules in this game. Broken again. In this game also there comes a huge map, and in this map you will explore from center going outwards, and you will have these exploration tiles that represent terrain which you will discover as you go. There's level 1, level 2 and level 3, so you can go really far onto the Mars and see what's out there. Also, some more woods had to die for this cardboard to be made. So these are basically just different parts of your habitat that you have and you try to repair because most of them don't work. Don't forget about it. And there's also 4 characters that you have in this game that you will try not to kill them, which you probably will. Stuck again. Empty. Nice. Guess what? Another forest has died, and now we have a bunch of different cards that will tell you what part of your habitat is currently not working and will probably explode in T-minus 5 minutes or so. And some of this stuff you will track with some more cardboard. Like for example, you have these over here that will tell you if your people are injured and if they can do or cannot do some stuff. There's also a bunch of different, like these are health tokens and whatnot. Seriously. And of course you have really nice miniatures of your habitat and some cars that you can run around Mars, but most of the time they are broken, so you will not be using them at all. And so we cut all those forests and now there's no oxygen, and so we have to leave for the Mars. And we will use this plastic at the end. We will use this dice so we can see some status that is happening on the Mars. There's also player pawns that will tell us what are you doing in your habitat. And there's all bunch of different little cubes, from green one that tells you everything is working, but you will most of the time use this red one because these red ones are not working. And that's that. That's everything that comes in a box of Terraforming Mars.
Come on!
Are you gonna pick me up?
What's up, guys? I'm Ben.
And I'm Tommy.
And we are talking board games.
And we're actually going to try something new. Let us know how it works.
Yeah. We're no longer beat obsolete.
We are he said, she said. He said, she said. So, we're going to be, this week on Blender, we're going over
classical literature.
Classical literature, which if you haven't read Mythic Battles Pantheon, it's a fairly good book. Yeah, actually really great. No, we kind of struggled finding a game that we thought represented this theme that we would want to talk about.
No.
And I've been on a craze about this game. And I was like, hey, what about this? Oedipus, the Odyssey, you know.
Well, Greek mythology alone has had...
There's so much literature about it. So it works, it's legitimate, and shut up. But basically what we're going to do in this segment is we're going to go through and we're going to try to find a comment that we think is mildly amusing.
Yeah, these are BGG comments.
Yeah.
I don't know if you enjoy reading them, but I do.
We'll start high and we'll go low. How about that?
Let's think of something positive about.
So, Martin King 3.
Martin King 3?
We're going to have his name down here. From the UK. He said, rated this a 10, by the way.
Oof.
A 10.
A 10.
This is how he describes the game. December.
Need he say more?
I don't think that says it all right there.
Oh yeah, clearly.
The game is just December. Yeah.
Martin, thank you.
Thank you, Martin King 3. Not 1 or 2, but Martin King 3.
Well, now that we've seen...
You can't do any better than that.
I don't know. Werebear.
Let's see what Werebear has to say. Is that Werebear or Werbear? Or Werbe, or...
Werebear.
Okay.
He has to say about his 2 ranking.
That's harsh.
Not yet released. But 42 expansions? I'm out.
That's a good point.
So as he played the game...
It doesn't matter.
He's out.
There's 42 expansions. Automatically terrible game.
Clearly, that makes for a bad
December,
game.
Totally off.
Fantastic.
Totally off his...
Yeah.
There's 42 expansions.
No, well, why bother? More? Yeah, horrible.
On a much more serious note, the game is phenomenal.
It is. It's really good.
We've actually done a review about the game. Go check it out. We hype it up pretty hard, so if you think that this game has too many expansions, don't even bother.
Send them to us.
That's right. We will
we'll take them.
Gladly take them.
Werebear, where are you?
About 27 expansions down. Actually, I think we're 40 expansions down.
Roughly.
Wait, 39.
39.
39 expansions down.
Yeah, we got a ways to go.
We got a ways to go. But the hand management in this game is phenomenal. Deck building aspect.
Miniatures are great.
It's got a really cool miniature tactical thingy. Mm-hmm. I've never played a miniature game, so I know nothing about it. No. But putting together your team and putting it out there and just being like, I'm going to be Zeus and lightning bolt you. It's so cool. I love this game. If we were to do a top 10 list for 2017 again, this would have made my number 1.
Yeah?
Oh, easily. Wow. Yeah.
No, it's a great game. Keep your eye out for it. It was a Kickstarter exclusive type thing.
You won't be able to keep your eye out for it.
If someone offers you to play it, do it.
Yes.
Anyways, thank you for watching our first segment of He Said, She Said.
He Said, She Said. He Said, She Said.
Go to BGG, post some good comments, and maybe you'll show up on our show.
That's right.
Watch out, we're reading those comments.
Oh, man. And then head over to our channel, like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, like the Dice Tower, subscribe. They're awesome.
Yep.
They do a lot. All right, guys. See you next time.
Enjoy Blender.
Yeah.
Hello folks, Mark here, and welcome to Thinking Inside the Box. In this series, I'm focusing on components, inserts, storage solutions, and games that do all of the above really well. So this theme is all about classic literature, which made me wonder, does H.P. Lovecraft deserve a place among so many classic authors? Sadly, he was virtually unknown and published only in pulp magazines before he died in poverty in 1937. But he is now regarded as one of the most significant 20th century authors in his genre. So, let's take a look at the Arkham Horror LCG. This game is chock full of mystery and story. You'll find cultists, foul rituals, haunted houses, and strange creatures. But beware the ancient ones straining against the barriers to our world. All your choices and actions have consequences that reach far beyond the immediate adventure. And your actions may earn you valuable experience with which you can evolve your character. This is truly my favorite of all the Lovecraft-themed games. Sadly, I haven't been able to play it a lot as of late, but hope to get back to the venture soon. So, I've been searching for a good storage solution, tried a few, but didn't really land on one that I liked until just recently. Go7 Gaming truly delivers. A straightforward and elegant design, this insert offers a lidded and etched token tray, 15 acrylic dividers, and storage for as many as 1,600 cards. The kit does fit inside the small FFG core box, but it does raise the lid. However, I've not found this to be an issue. They've done a fantastic job with this insert. I went ahead and picked up 2 sets, as I have 2 core boxes. So I'm organizing the cards so one box holds all the characters and the other will hold all the scenario and related cards. You know, I build a ton of inserts, and this is the first one where punching the sections was a breeze. Typically, I have to score and cut the pieces so the wood doesn't split. But these, wow, they just practically fall out and the insert builds in less than an hour. Super easy to build. Of course, I would still allow the glue sections to dry overnight, and I highly recommend you do glue the pieces together. The token box and acrylic dividers were also selling points for me, and the fact that all the cards stand upright all just fit perfectly for my needs. Really well done. Oh, and check this out. You can add the small card dividers. It gives a nice storage area inside the box for all the mini character cards. Super cool. I can't recommend both Arkham Horror LCG and Ghost 7 Gaming enough. Give them both a closer look. Alright folks, thanks for watching, happy organizing, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
And that's going to do it for us on this episode of Board Game Blender, everybody. A big thanks to my contributors, as always. A big thanks to you for tuning in. And if you'd like to be a contributor to Board Game Blender and join our little family, then contact me. Send me an email with your idea for a recurring segment and a demo video of what you are going to be doing, and you just might be featured on the next Board Game Blender. So that's going to do it for us. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And as always, hey, stay a friend of the blend.